Without a shadow of a doubt, you've heard people say that your code should be modular, and then you wondered, what does that actually mean though? So let's talk about the ideas behind clean modular code. And the way that I like to think about that is in a couple of different layers, but in the end, it kind of comes down to the same thing. So let's start at the largest layer, because it's probably easiest to grasp and understand, and then apply that same logic down to smaller scale layers. The larger layer, obviously, being the entire project. Your entire project is going to have a bunch of subsystems, and that's why I have my own project open here, because I've got a couple of subsystems. For this example, I'm going to be looking at two of the systems that my game has. Number one being my inventory system. So right here, I have in my character menu, for instance, I have some inventory stuff, right? We have inventories, and those inventories can contain items, they can move along and all that kind of stuff. It's not important how that works, but the inventory system is a subsystem in my game. Another subsystem is my skill tree system. This is an entirely separate thing that doesn't need to interact with my inventory system. It would be kind of weird if it directly interacted with my inventory system. But I actually, as I build the game out, I'm going to want to have this thing interact with my inventory in some ways. So this is where modularity between these two things comes in, because these two things don't really have any business being linked to each other. These two systems should function as their own separate plugins, which, as a matter of fact, they fully do. Looking at my code here, if I go into my project, you can see in the plugins, I've got my inventory, and I've got my skill tree editor, and then I've got a couple of other different things as well in here, as different plugins. Something being a plugin means that I can take it out of the project that it's being developed in right now, put it into another project, and it will just seamlessly integrate. Nothing in this plugin can either rely on other plugins or any code that exists in any of these files that are project specific. So what we have here is, I'm going to visualize this for you. We have my game project as a whole. That is this. That one then has a bunch of different subsystems, which I'm going to color red, and then another one that's going to be colored, I don't know, yellow, something like that. This will be the inventory system, and this will be the skill tree system. If I make a different game, I should fairly easily be able to just take this and put it in there. That's the idea of it being a standalone plugin, is you can plug it in, right? If this plugin, however, is in any sort of way linked to this plugin over here, the line is super thin. Let me make that a little bit bigger for you. There we go. Now I cannot possibly pull this away out of my current project and put it into a new project without also pulling along this thing, which I might not care about. My next game might not have a skill tree. Matter of fact, it probably won't, right? Because these two things aren't inherently linked in any sort of way on a logical level. There's no reason that a skill tree and an inventory system should be dependent on each other. Think about all the games that you've played in your life. How many of them have had some sort of inventory? Probably most of them. How many have had some sort of skill tree? Probably significantly less of them. So it makes no sense to make this skill tree and inventory a package deal. So they need to stay decoupled from each other. We also don't want to do it the other way around, right? Because there still is very much a chance that you might want to make a game with a skill tree system that doesn't have inventory or relies on a different type of inventory system. So these two things don't directly talk to each other at all. But then how do we make them talk to each other? We make them talk to each other by going through the game. So what we do is, when the skill tree, for instance, needs to check if your inventory contains an item to let you unlock a branch. This is not theoretical. This is actually specifically something that my game is going to require me to have to do. Instead of my skill tree being able to directly check inventories as part of the plugin code itself, what I do instead is I take whatever I have in my skill tree and extend that class into my project. So let's call this STE for skill tree extension. My skill tree doesn't know that this thing exists, right? Because it is now outside the context of the skill tree plugin. This is an extension that just exists within my project. But since this now no longer is part of the skill tree itself, this thing can look at the inventory system, no problem. Because this is part of my project. The project as a whole doesn't need to have any sort of decoupling from its individual parts. That's actually the job of your overarching project, is linking between these different parts. I can still now copy this over to another project. It's not going to be taking along this skill tree extension because it's not part of the plugin. It's an extension of the plugin that exists inside the project. So then in my new project, I will need to make a new skill tree extension that works in the way that that project requires it to do. But these two modules, these two plugins, can still communicate with each other as long as it is through something that is part of the project and not part of either of the plugins. And of course, that works the other way around as well. We can make like an item extension. So let's call this IE for item extension. And maybe that needs to check something in the skill tree. Then that thing checks the skill tree. There's no direct communication between the two of these. Now, let's take a look at how the skill tree in my case specifically implements that. So if I go into my skill tree asset here, this is in C++ because I like doing all of the base code in C++. But basically, this is a data asset type that I use as a unlocking mechanism on my skill tree nodes. If you've followed along with my skill tree series for the tutorials, you'll be pretty familiar with this because it's based on the way that I coded it in my own project. And this doesn't really do that much. It has a base cost. It has an overridable function for if the skill can be unlocked. And it has an overridable function for applying that cost on unlock. I would even argue that this being in here is not great. And I'm probably going to remove it at some point. But this is the bare most, very basic most type of thing for an unlock asset. And this just exists as a template for me to overwrite this inside Blueprints. This C++ bit is part of the plugin. Whatever I make as an override in Blueprint is part of the project. Again, that's also part of the reason that it's nice to work some things in C++ and then do some things in Blueprint, because it can help making that distinction between what is part of a subsystem and what is part of the project that implements the subsystem a little bit more clear. These things just exist as placeholders for me to be able to run them in C++ and then give them an implementation in Blueprint. So going into Blueprint, I have my unlock assets here, and I've got classes. In this case, the only thing that I've made so far is this BP node unlocker. And this is pretty much just the Blueprint version of it, which doesn't really add all that much. What this does is it overrides the can unlock skill, which checks the player experience and checks if it is greater than the base cost, and then returns whether or not currently this skill can be unlocked or not. And then we also have an apply cost, which just takes the base cost away from the player XP. Now, this Dark Shadow blueprint, which is my main player character, that's not something that's going to be tied to the plugin part of this. So again, this blueprint that extends off the C++ class that I just showed you is part of the project, while the C++ class is part of the plugin. This is what we mean with modular code. It isn't that these things cannot ever touch. It is just that they need to be able to function separately, and the way we make them touch doesn't hard glue these different bits together. So if I make a copy of this node unlocker for now, and we call this node item unlocker, just to keep with the example that I haven't actually coded yet, so we're doing that live on video here. We can unlock skill. Instead of getting the player's experience and the base cost that we're working with, what I do is I get the inventory components, which is part, again, of the inventory system. So now these two different subsystems meet in this asset, in this blueprint. That's this part, right? That's the state tree extension. That's the extension of the existing C++ class, but inside of my project. Nothing about this is unique to C++, by the way. If you're like, oh, but I only use Blueprint, these same principles 1000% work if you're setting up your own frameworks in Blueprint. And then we just can query this inventory on whether or not it has a certain item. So we promote that to a variable, the item to query. We could make the amount to query a variable as well. I don't really care about that. All that I care about right now is whether or not it has found a single version of this item or not. And then the unlock cost, what that can do is it can get the inventory component once again, and then it can try to remove an item in a slot, I don't actually seem to have subtract item. That's what it's called. Okay, there we go. And all I need to do is then the item that I queried, I need to remove it. And the amount to remove, let's just say that it's 1. And now I have these two different subsystems talking to each other. They are functioning together to make the gameplay that I want, while still maintaining a separation and not being hard linked together. That's the idea of keeping your code modular. That is on a full project basis, but of course we can go a layer deeper. We can do that on a blueprint basis, and that's where things like components come in. Components you could see as plugins for your actor. In this case, what I have here is I have my player character, which has a couple of different inventory components, but maybe a better example than the inventories for component level is the weapon that I have here. The weapon that I have is a weapon component, which is just a C++ class that slightly extends the static mesh components. This weapon is nothing more than a static mesh with just a couple of functions slapped extra on top of it, an event dispatcher, and an array of the enemies that it has hits. I need to still build this out a little bit more. This is a little too bare bones. But we have this weapon, which itself doesn't do that much. It interacts a lot with the ability system component though, because obviously every time I swing my sword, things like that hits enemy array needs to be filled anytime I hit an enemy during a sword swing. And then at the end of the sword swing, it needs to be cleared out to be ready for the next one. That's something that, in this case, not the character takes care of, but the individual ability. But the same thing holds true. We've got this ability system component, which has a concept of these abilities that can be executed. Those abilities then understand what a weapon is and know how to deal with a weapon. The weapon doesn't need to understand what an ability system is. The weapon doesn't need to understand what abilities are. The abilities interact with the ability system components and with the weapon, so that these two things can talk to each other without needing to directly know of each other and be hard linked together because of it. So that's basically what people mean with modular code. You've got code bunch A and code bunch B, which remain totally independent from each other. And if you need to hook them up together, you have a bunch of code C, which is going to be responsible for communicating between these two different objects, systems, programs even. And a very big thank you to all my Patreons. You can see them on screen right now. If you want to help support the channel or get any of the project files in any of my tutorials, there's a link down below to the Patreon page to support me, or alternatively as a YouTube member. My Cave student tier supporters, Oiku, Earl, Monseville, Erno, and my Cave Digger tier supporters, Mauricio Farias.